I know the reoccurring theme of these sit-down videos is that the lighting is terrible. I like to call the flow state. Classic spot that's been shot thousands. The previous one was poorly lit. I finally got a proper lighting setup and it's perfect. So these videos are gonna look a lot more polished. As you may have seen, I just came back from my final trip of the year. It was to Iceland for the third time in the last 3 years. Yeah, Iceland's such a special place for me. This one was focused more on why I keep coming back, what keeps drawing me back to this place. I have a lot of time to think and put things into perspective. I want to touch specifically on one of the effects I used in this video. I'll jump on After Effects a little later and show you guys how I did the freeze time effect. You may have seen it before. And I also want to just sit down and chat with you guys. I haven't really done that in a while. I want to talk about how this year has gone for me, where my head's at, and maybe some of the things I'm looking forward to for the new year. Oh, before I forget, I quickly want to say this video is sponsored by Storyblocks, so you'll hear more about them later. So the freeze time effect. How this kind of came about was during one of my last days on the trip, I decided to kind of record this little voice memo to myself. I do this a lot. Pose myself this question. Describe the feeling really of being in Iceland. And to be honest, it's like the rest of the world doesn't matter for a little bit. And that idea of life standing still was the main backbone to this little video. There is some pre-production, some planning. There's some ways you can make it look really believable using post-production. And finally, it has a little bit to do with the sound design. So touching on the first thing, pre-production. So you have to shoot these shots in a certain way. Your main subject needs to be frozen in time. So if you're filming something, have them frozen in time and standing still, you move the camera around them. This is a very, very easy way to replicate this shot. But another way I did this was through the drone shot with the Icelandic horses. This is like actually one of my favorite shots of the trip. Most of the time, horses are very like skittish. They'll like run off very easily, especially with drones. None of them moved, and I think they knew I wasn't gonna get too close to them. I got this shot where it looked like they were just static, and that added a lot to it as well. So it is really about the way you shoot it, all about a camera movement, whether you're panning back, whether you're using a gimbal or a drone. As long as your subject's frozen, you're already halfway there to accomplishing the effect. So number 2, post-production. All right, so we're in After Effects. I just quickly want to say this can translate to Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro. Essentially, all we're doing is a simple little mask, and then if you want to add some finishing touches, you can do some 3D tracking. So if we play the clip right here, I'm standing still, which is perfect. The foreground looks great, but there's just one minor thing that we need to take out or get out of the way to really sell this effect. And it all has to do with the beach right here. As you can see, the waves are kind of moving at their own pace. It's moving real time. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to duplicate this clip and I'm going to freeze the first frame. I'm gonna nest this clip or pre-compose it. So with this, first I'm gonna just mask the beach. This is all that we want out of it. Okay, so I've created the first mask, but essentially what we're gonna do is go into our mask settings, we're gonna keyframe our mask path, and I'm gonna go a bunch of frames forward and turn this layer off so I can see what's under me. I'm basically gonna try and morph the mask to fit the frame. So essentially just go in and do this for the entire clip. Alrighty, so I finished this up. It's very tedious. So as you see, now the entire beach is frozen in time. Some of the bleeding through of the mask, and it's just me standing there. So this is where we're just gonna turn the mask feather on and play with these settings so that everything kind of comes together. Not too hard of an effect to kind of pull off. The more you kind of work with the mask and, you know, add some finishing touches, the better it'll look, obviously, but this looks really good right here. And the last thing I quickly want to touch on is the sound design. To really emphasize this moment in the video, I strategically chose which sound effects I really wanted to use. So if you want to sell this effect, it's all about adding a bunch of risers and taking away completely the sound design of this portion of the video. I quickly want to thank Storyblocks for sponsoring this video. Whether you need like After Effects templates, stock footage, time lapses, drone shots, Storyblocks is the one perfect place for all of this. Sometimes you don't have a big budget for projects and you are missing some of these shots that you need to really complete your video. Previous Tallinn video for the portal sequence, I found all those like stock footage elements from Storyblocks. It really did heighten that scene and made it come together in the end. If you guys are interested, the link is in the description below, or you can go to storyblocks.com/JRAlli and check it out. couple it with, I want like hard-hitting drums. Being completely shit at something again. I really love music and it's a huge part of my life. Around over a year ago, I started to learn music production with the goal to one day create a soundtrack to my own visuals. And I'm not fully there yet, but I've taken strides and I'm just happy with the progress. Music production for me brings me back to that feeling when I first started filmmaking. You know, not fully being able to translate what you have in your head to something on the screen, but that feeling of chasing it, of trying to become better every single day. It made me really fall in love with music production, just another piece of the puzzle. So I'm gonna keep working on it well into the new year, and hopefully one day soon I'll be able to share more of my work with you guys. Trap album coming soon. This book right here is essentially my journal. Beginning of every year, I try and write down some of the things I want to accomplish. I do recommend everyone write down some of their goals, share it with people, or keep it to yourselves. Being able to visualize them, put it out into the world, manifest it is actually a huge thing. I wrote down, find out the stories I die trying to tell. Things that are bigger than myself, really. I think I started to take steps in this direction towards the end of the year. The biggest thing for me has been balancing my health more, spending more time with the people I really care about, and learning to be more content with where I am. There was a lot of things that I didn't really post on social media. There was a lot of breaks that I took, and it was essentially because I gave up that idea of trying to post everything online, and I think it took a toll on my health. Take my time, learn new things, just give myself room to fail and grow. I think I became a much better person mentally this year because of that. I quickly want to thank every single one of you who is still supporting me through all these years. I'm still grateful that I call this my job and I can keep pushing myself to be creative and make films that matter to me and hopefully matter to you as well. I got some exciting things planned for the new year. I love you guys, seriously. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the new year. Peace.